Hey everybody, welcome back to the Sonic Chronicle. I've got a new Casually in Conversation for you today. This is the first Casually in Conversation of 2025, and frankly, it's off to a brilliant start. The person that I'm interviewing for this Casually in Conversation, well, you've already seen the thumbnail, I presume, at this stage, but his name is Owen Scott. He runs a YouTube channel called Giant Guitars, which I am a huge fan of. I've watched all of his stuff. I've watched it for a long time, and really, it's brilliant content, brilliant videos on guitars and building guitars and staining guitars and a lot of guitar maintenance things as well. One of the things that I forgot to mention in the video as well is just how much I love the craft aspect of the videos as well. Quite a while ago here on television in Ireland, the national broadcaster RTE created a show called Hands, and it was about crafters and makers, and that is really the vibe that I get from Giant Guitars videos, from Owen's videos. They're about crafting, they're about really kind of getting in and making things and doing things, and you'll see over the course of the conversation just how important it is to just give it a go and to try something and to do something. Anyway, I hope that you really enjoyed the conversation. But before we get to that, please do consider liking this video. Please do consider subscribing to the channel and, of course, sharing this with your friends as well. And if you have any questions or comments or anything, I'll be happy to share them with Owen at Giant Guitars. Feel free to leave them in the comment section below. With that done and out of the way, please enjoy the first episode in the Casually in Conversation series for 2025. Thanks so much, as I said, for taking some time out to chat with me this evening about yourself and guitars and building guitars and your YouTube channel and everything that kind of goes into it as well. I suppose to kick off, just for people who aren't aware, you're in County Down, you build guitars, you make videos on YouTube showing a variety of different types of builds. Well, I suppose one type of build mostly, one pickup guitars, I suppose, primarily.
Yeah.
But you also show off like a wide variety of skills and use of different tools and things like that as well. And I love it, right? Frankly, ever since I kind of saw that first video of, I think it was the one where you took apart the Tom DeLonge Strat.
Okay. Yeah, the SpongeBob.
The SpongeBob one. That's the one that I think was the first one that I saw. And I saw that and I was like, yeah, that's worth a subscribe. And then I went back and started watching all the other stuff, right? So I went back and I watched the very first one, which was your building a guitar for your son, I believe.
Yes, that was my very first one, yeah.
Yeah. And that was great. Like to see
thank you.
everything that you went through for that young fella. It was brilliant.
That kind of kicked it all off, that video, because out of nowhere it got like 17,000 views, and I had minimal subscribers. I just threw it up there because I'd been on Instagram for a while, and I thought, you know what, I want to try something different. I want to try YouTube, and I just threw it up there, and it all of a sudden got 17,000 views, and I thought, well, okay, maybe there's something here.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, I'll talk about this, I suppose, a little bit later, but there's something really kind of, calming about the way that you put your videos together as well, and really kind of like something ASMR about it as well in some regards.
I think some of them. I think I would like to do some more ASMR videos, but probably alongside my normal format. So I'll do a kind of mixture of both, talking to the camera, and then for those people that don't want to listen to me, I'll do like an ASMR type as well.
For sure. But you mentioned there that you started on the Instagram. Sorry, how old am I? On the Instagram.
On the Instagram.
The Instagram. So you were putting builds up on Instagram first, and you were doing giveaways on Instagram before the channel started.
Yeah.
Is that right?
Yeah. So Instagram started around 2019, and
Right.
My brother had just started his own brand building acoustic guitars, and he was refusing to post anything on any social media. And I had a bit of background from, it's probably 10, 11 years ago now, web development and social media and that. So I said, you know what, if he's not going to do it, I'll do it. And I started this page and I just wanted to start posting guitars that I liked, try get a bit of a following, and then totally switch and just hammer home promotion for his guitars.
Right.
And it kind of snowballed into my own thing in the end.
Hmm. So this
So
really altruistic thing of like, really helping out your brother when he started his own workshop, making unbelievable guitars as well, turned into this I suppose this pet project, and now
yeah, turned into me not helping him at all in the end. So yeah.
Well, that's not necessarily true, right? Because recently you did kind of go down to the workshop and you did like show him off somewhat and down there.
Yeah. I'm going to do more of that. And that's not for him. That's for me because he's an absolute master when it comes to actually proper Luthier and being a Luthier. I would never call myself a Luthier, but he is a Luthier through and through. So I have a lot to learn by using him as such.
Frankly, I'm still thinking about the Galway hooker guitar because that was such a beaut.
Yeah, it is nice. He still has it. So I don't think he's quite finished that one yet, but it's getting there.
Nice.
But that was, yeah. He drove down. I think he might have rented a van or a trailer or something, and he drove down south and he picked up all the boards from that Galway hooker and completely stripped the floorboard out of it and took it all away. It was just free. Someone was giving it away for free. So
wow.
He's recycling that into guitars. So I don't know if you've ever seen the acoustic guitar he built me. He actually, yeah, he has it at the minute, so I can't show it here. But the binding on that guitar, the entire binding of that guitar, is made from that Galway hooker, the oak from that.
Right.
So
I saw something about that being like a smoked oak or something like that. Is that right?
I don't know. On the Galway hooker?
No, on the one that he made for you, I think.
Oh no.
Okay.
There's no, my one. He didn't want to build it.
Right. Okay.
He's very particular about his materials that he uses and the wood he uses, and the pairings of the back and sides with the top. And I'm totally the opposite. I go with what I like visually.
Yeah.
And he was telling me the wood that I chose was going to sound terrible. And in the end, it didn't. It sounded beautiful, but that's not on me. That's on him because he was able to craft it to sound brilliantly. He had to do a lot of work on his carvings and the bracing on the inside and all, just to get it to sound right. But yeah. I chose a flame ash, a very heavy flame ash back and sides. So it's kind of like the light color wood on the back and sides, and then I wanted a really dark wood on the top, which I went with like a flamed walnut. Because I wanted to be, a traditional acoustic guitar you see has usually a light top and dark back and sides. Mm-hmm. That's usually the traditional. And I wanted the polar opposite of that. I wanted to flip that around. So that's where that went. And then the flame maple, it's got like a 5-piece flame maple neck, it's really beautiful.
How does it sound?
Sounds incredible. It's incredible. It's probably the best acoustic guitar I've ever played. And I kind of put the electric guitars down for probably close to 10 years and played only acoustics. And I bought, I don't know if you've heard of the company Avalon.
I have. Yes.
Yeah, they kind of break away from Loudon. I bought an Avalon for £3,500 years and years and years ago, and this thing just blew it out of the water. Just incredible. Yeah.
So does every time your brother hear you play that guitar, does he think it could have sounded that little bit better, or?
No, I think he's happy with it. I think he's happy with how it turned out. It took a lot more work than what he had expected. Right. And I mean, he must be happy with it because he's had it for over a year and hasn't given it back to me. So,
right.
It's a promotional tool for him now. So, and to be fair, we agreed a price. And I'll not tell you what the price was, but I only paid him a quarter of it. So to be fair, he technically still owns the majority of that guitar anyway.
I mean, fair enough. Yeah. He gets to keep it for 3/4 of the time, I suppose.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
So you started this Instagram channel for your brother. It turned into your own thing.
Yeah.
Why did you call it Giant Guitars?
That's a good question. So I'm I'm mildly dyslexic. I don't like to say that. I'm tested dyslexic in school,
Okay.
but my personal opinion on it is I need practice reading. I just never read as a child, and I think if I read more, I'd be fine. But anyway, according to you know practitioners or whatever, I'm dyslexic. So
Okay.
around the time I started the channel, my partner and I, she's from Czech Republic, and we were we were hiking. I think it was around New Year's. It was quite cold. In fact, it might have been New Year's Day. Possibly New Year's Day 2020. And I had the Instagram page, and I was trying to figure out a name for it. And we were hiking this mountain in this area we were staying in, and one of her friends had a beanie hat on, and it said Gant
Right.
along the front of it. And I mean, I'm not into clothing brands or anything, and I had never heard of the brand Gant before, believe it or not.
Hmm.
And I read it as Giant,
Right.
and instantly I was like, "That's it. I'm gonna call my channel Giant Guitars." And it's as stupid as that. It was a misread
Hey,
of the
man.
brand Gant. So,
Like, I always
but
think of like this idea of like, the Beatles is kind of a shit name for a band, but everyone knows the Beatles, right?
yeah.
You know.
Well, I mean, it kind of works because, well, for one, I'm not a giant, but I'm 6'5", 6'6", somewhere in that region. And then obviously Northern Ireland is known for Giants Causeway,
For
so it
sure.
kind of it works.
Have you ever considered doing like a Belfast Giants like tie-in or something like that, like just to like drive the brand or anything like that?
Not really. No, I
Fair
don't
enough.
know. Maybe if I got bigger, I might consider something like that.
Mm.
That might be a cool idea. Give away a guitar at one of their games or something. That might be pretty fun to do. But I think I'm a long way away from that. I think,
Fair. Fair.
yeah.
Um, but you did mention that recently, like in the Q&A, that when you do your full build, that you wouldn't call it a giant guitar, like you wouldn't have giant
No,
guitars on the headstock. Um,
no.
why is that?
I like it as a page name. I don't like it as a guitar brand.
Okay.
So I have an idea for branding. I think all the guitars will say, probably on the back of the headstock, by Giant Guitars and with a serial number.
Mm.
But every single guitar that I build that's a scratch build will be named something different. Now, that might be terrible for branding purposes, but I don't care. I think I want each guitar to have its own individual name,
Okay.
and I'll not give it away because I want to
For
I want to
sure.
see how long it take. I want to see how long it takes someone to catch on. But I have a kind of naming convention in mind, and I want to see how long it takes someone to catch on exactly what that is that I'm following. So
Fair enough.
yeah,
Fair
I'll,
enough.
I'll, I'll tell you offline. I'll tell you offline.
Okay. No problem. Um, are there? I suppose like when it comes to that idea of doing the scratch builds, like do you have a number of them in the works, like with this idea in mind that you're going to name them all differently, and you know the names of them in advance? So do you have an idea as to how you're going to build them, what they're going to be built of, the styles of guitars, things like that?
I only have two in the works,
Okay.
and they're one's a Telecaster shape and one's the Meteora that you've probably seen.
Yes.
So no, I don't have names for them, to be honest.
Mm.
Uh, Nothing yet, and I haven't picked. I've picked some of my favorite names from the list that I have that I want to use. But I think until they're built, I'll not name them till they're in front of me.
Fair.
But yeah, I have a whole host of designs and woods and styles of guitars that I want to build, kind of picked out in my mind. So to that part of your question, yeah, I do have lots of ideas of which woods I want to pair with what and how I
Mm.
want to make it look. And at the minute, I'm still learning. I'm still kind of experimenting. So the likes of the Meteor, it's very traditional. It's got an ash back, and the top is like a flame top. It's flame sycamore, which is slightly different, but if you're looking at it, you might say it's flame maple. Um, and then the neck's going to be a flame maple neck. So it's quite a traditional style build in a way. But I think as I get more and more experience and I build more, they'll get sort of further out there, and more experimentation, more woods, things like that.
And you mean specifically when it comes to the scratch builds?
Specifically the scratch builds, yeah. I mean, don't get me wrong. Some of the kind of modifications and customizing that I have planned are pretty out there as well. And I want to stick to that, because I think that's what I enjoy the most. I do really want to have my own builds, but the thing I enjoy the most is modifying a guitar and making an already existing guitar something unique.
Mm-hmm.
And the kit builds, I love the kit builds.
Yeah, what is it about the kit builds?
I don't know. I think it's where I started.
Okay.
Maybe not exactly where I started, but it's near where I started. It's, one of the first things I did was build a kit guitar, and I don't know. I just like it.
So where did you get started then, if not on the kit builds?
Well, if you want to go back, I mean, I've owned guitars since I was maybe 11 or 12. I started buying guitars regularly at 14 because I got a part-time job.
Right.
And I was getting £45 per week in my pocket at 14. And then in the summer that was upped because I was working pretty much full time through the summer months. So I was buying quite a lot of guitars back then, and not just cheap things, nothing.
Sure, like your Arias,
nothing expensive.
Vintages.
Yeah, I think I went through a phase. I think they were all Oldfield. Maybe it's like a.
Gotcha. Yeah.
They did like rip off Les Pauls and PRS styles. So I spent a lot of time stripping a lot of them down and painting them as a kid in my dad's garage, and my dad got involved. We had a lot of fun painting guitars, and so that was it. It was, I mean, it all goes back to, I suppose. I mean, I was in a band back then, so I wanted a guitar that was unique, and it goes back to, I saw a video of Mike Shinoda from Linkin Park.
Yeah,
and it was like a very short clip. I can't even remember. It's still out there, but he had this, I think it was like a blue PRS, and he was drawing on it.
We're about 30 to 40 minutes out from the show, and I am bored out of my mind, and I'm going to use this time wisely and draw or paint on my guitar. All set. Sweet.
I didn't think that I had a debt to pay till the game to take all I had left away. You said you wouldn't.
And then he had a couple of Ibanez's, and he would draw all these sort of artistic figures and skulls and things like that there on his guitars. And at that point, that kind of hooked me into painting guitars and modifying them. And of course, there was why is my brain gone? Derek Whibley from Sum 41 with his his X on his Telecaster, things like that there. So that's probably where I got started modifying, but then it didn't really properly take off until 2017, 2018. And kind of out of desperation, needing a bit of money on the side, I started buying parts and putting together things like this, just random parts casters, and selling them online, trying to make a profit, and maybe repairing the old guitar. And that's where I learned everything. And
I mean, It's a lot of, I suppose, trial and error, though, I imagine, like from 2017 onwards, right? And
Yeah,
when it came
yeah,
to like even painting the guitars like back in the day, sure, like the stakes weren't necessarily massively high, like by our standards these days, I suppose. But like for a kid back then, ripping apart a guitar and painting it and not necessarily knowing if it's going to go right or not. Sure, it's £45 a week or like £200 or something like that. So it's a month's salary or whatever. But to a kid back then, that's a lot of money. That's everything you have, right? So,
yeah. And some of them went terribly wrong, but
mm,
you know, I always put it back together and made it a guitar again. So
sure.
some of them, I would love to see them now. I would love to to see how they are. I'm pretty sure they probably ended up in a landfill somewhere, but uh, they were fun. I didn't care that much, but yeah, some did go terribly wrong, but never so wrong to a point where they were unplayable, which was kind of lucky.
That is fortunate for sure.
Yeah.
Um, I like the idea of the Derek Whibley guitar being part of what got you into modifying guitars, because obviously that just had the one pickup in it as well.
That
Um,
that that that's the one that got me hooked on single. Everyone assumes it's the Tom DeLonge, but it's not. It's the Derek Whibley.
I gotta say, I am coming around to the idea of single humbucker bridge guitars, um,
Good.
because I've been doing some home recording lately, and every time I go to a neck pickup, I'm like, that's stodgy, that's muddy, man. I need the clarity of the bridge. Um, so I'm coming around to it for sure.
you know, for me, it's 90%. Aesthetics. I like how it looks, and that's it. I don't record guitar. It's been a long time since I played on stage or in a band,
Hmm.
and uh, you know, at best, I sit in my living room playing. So I
Yeah.
don't need anything else than a bridge humbucker, and that's it. I understand. Like I get it if people want to have more pickups than that, but it's not me.
But the thing is, right? It kind of comes back to this idea of aesthetics as well, right? That you want to have more than one pickup because you feel like it looks better, or you feel like your guitar should have more pickups in it, right? For more sonic options. But really, you find a sound you like, you run it through your amp, and that's it, man.
Yeah, and for me, it's probably because I've done it for so long now. I only really like the look of guitars with one pickup in it. It's
Yeah.
rare that I see it's rare that I see a multi pickup guitar, and I'm thinking I wouldn't change it.
For me, what
It's
what what kind of, like, anytime that I've been interested in single pickup guitars, it wasn't necessarily the Derek Whibley one. It was the Matt Skiba signature model,
okay. Yeah.
the Alkaline Trio one. Um,
Uh-huh.
that one was class. I think it had like the garish, like neon green pickguard on it, and the black body, and just the one knob on it. But the other one then as well that really kind of caught my attention when I was much younger was Noodles from The Offspring. Right, he used to play Ibanez guitars, and he got one, and he just covered it. Like, it's kind of where I kind of got the idea for my SG. He covered it in duct tape, right?
Okay.
And Ibanez started releasing signature models that were covered in duct tape. And part of the marketing for it was everyone is individual because no duct tape has been placed in the same place for these guitars and stuff like that. It was wild stuff.
That is funny. Yeah.
Yeah. But
Oh,
tell me about, how many guitars do you have now?
personal collection or
Personal
altogether?
collection. Personal collection.
Oh, uh, I'm not sure. More than 10, less than 20.
More than 10, less than 20.
I have some put away. Uh, I did start collecting 70s Fenders for a while, but I've sold pretty much all of them. I wish I kept them, but needs must sometimes.
For sure.
But yeah, I mean, in terms of guitars that I play, I have 4, maybe 5 in my living room, and then I've a lot more all over the place in cases and under beds and
Sure.
things like that. There,
Yeah.
yeah, it's hard to put a number on it. I'd probably scare myself if I.
I mean, that's the thing, right? Like, I think of myself of having like a pretty modest number of guitars, right? I've got the 4 guitars and the bass here, but then I think, oh, but I've got the acoustic downstairs.
Yeah.
Oh, and I've got that other electric in my parents' house, and I've got that other
Mhm.
acoustic guitar in my parents' house. Oh, and I forgot about this other electric that happens to live in my parents' house as well. So when I get down to brass tacks, it's more than I think, and more than I probably should have. But I don't spend tons of money on guitars. I've never been one to spend on like the super high end ones.
Yeah. Yeah. Now, the most I spent on a guitar was that Avalon. I think it was I think it was 3,750 if I remember right. Um, but it was custom made for me,
Yeah.
and it was a limited run. I think there was only 24 of them made, something like that. And I got one of the very few with a cutaway. I actually sold it last year, and that's what funded this workshop.
Oh wow.
Yeah, so let me think. I think after that, I've spent. I mean, I've definitely. I'm not sure. I'm not sure if you know. I was raffling guitars for quite a
Yes.
while, and I was spending decent money on some of the competition guitars. Nothing crazy. Maybe between £1,000 to £2,000, something in that region.
Right.
Most of the time. So
I
Yeah.
presume that was like once you had definitely established the raffles as like something that was going to make its money back.
yeah, well, I made a. I say made. I mean, I put together 2 jazz masters. Well, the first one I made actually was a something similar to this Strat, and it was all Chinese built, very very cheap, very similar to one of my videos on YouTube, where I put together a parts caster for less than £200,
Oh yes.
and looked very similar to that, and it kind of went crazy on Instagram at the time, and everyone loved it, and I thought there's something here, so I raffled it, and it sold out in like 24 hours.
Right.
And I thought, okay, this is good. And I did a Jazzmaster, and it was just a Squire. It was a Squire Affinity. I'm kind of looking over there because there's one sitting
Right. Okay.
to my right as well. The Squire Affinity Jazzmaster, and they were a hardtail 2 humbucker Jazzmaster, and they were very cheap at the time. I think they were only about £130, something like that. But the neck of a Fender fits perfectly in place of the Squire neck.
Squire, yeah.
And then there was a guy making pick guards on eBay. I still use them. I don't know if you've heard of the Instagram account House95 Guitars.
I literally just followed them like 2 days ago.
So he put me onto him. Now this is probably 2020 maybe. He put me onto these Squires, and I actually bought my first one from him. And I swapped the neck out, and I put I can't remember if it was Warmouth, or I think it might have been like a Music Craft, but it was a heavily flamed roasted maple neck, beautiful neck, through a bare knuckle pickups. I think it was a nail bomb into it, and this thing was just a monster of a guitar. And I raffled it. It went crazy. So I did another one. That was a white one. I did one in black, and I put a Fender Hendrix Stratocaster neck on it with the reverse headstock.
Yeah.
And the same thing, I think I put a bare knuckle pickup in it, and again went crazy. And that's what got me started with the raffles. And from there, we did very well with them. I think maybe once I had one that didn't make any money. But it made enough to cover the shipping, and it was fine.
Sure.
But every penny that I made from those, I put straight back into the next guitar or maybe a tool for the workshop or things like that there. So
Mm.
it was time and money well spent anyway in the end.
Yeah. Yeah.
And as well, I mean, I think in the time I did it, I think I might have built. I mean, I would love to count, but I think close to 100 guitars.
Right.
So mostly parts builds. Yeah.
Yeah. Like I think that like the way that you kind of talk about like doing these parts casters and things like that, you know, you refer to them as like you're building these guitars rather than like being a luthier. Is that something that's like, do you do that because of the way that people might look at the way that you put together guitars, or is it to do with you and like you knowing your brother and the way that he works?
Look, yeah. Generally, I don't really care what people
Okay.
think.
I
I
mean,
just do my own thing, you know.
that's
It,
pretty
it doesn't.
clear
It
from
does.
your videos as well, right? Because like
Yeah.
people might have a problem with this, don't really care,
Yeah.
which is great. I love that attitude. You know.
Yeah. You know, don't get me wrong. I don't upset anyone,
Mm.
but you know, if you're getting upset watching me do something or saying that I did something that's maybe some slightly different, that's your problem, not
Yeah,
mine.
very much so.
But no, the luthier thing, I feel like my personal opinion, you know, if there's people out there calling themselves luthiers that do exactly what I do, that's fair enough. You know,
Mm.
I'm not gonna say no, you're not a luthier. I'm not gonna be commenting online saying, yeah, how dare you call yourself a luthier?
For
That's
sure.
again that's not my style. For me personally, I think it needs to be earned, and I think doing scratch builds is the way to do that. Pretty much. Um, yeah, I think I'm getting close, but you know, I see the way my brother is, and it's almost an insult, in my opinion, for me to call myself a luthier when I know that that's what he is, and he's so much better, and there's so much more to it. Um, but at the same time, I don't think he would be insulted either. I don't think he would care. So
Yeah.
it's just my personal feeling, I think.
No, I think you've kind of hit the nail on the head there. Like that, there are people out there who refer to themselves as luthiers who do guitar builds and things like that. But there are also people out there who definitely haven't earned that. But I think that you're kind of in that position where you probably have like done enough of it, right, to have earned the right to call yourself that. But again,
I mean,
that's my take, right?
maybe. At the same time, I don't think I'm at the stage where I would like open up to customers bringing guitars to me to fix. I have done it for friends and I have done it for some people, but I think if I felt that I was a luthier, that I would do that. I would probably open up and do that on the side, and you know, do small jobs for people. But I feel like I'm still not there yet. You know, I'm still in the experimentation stage. I'm not experimenting on other people's guitars unless you really want me to.
Yeah. Which is fair.
I think once I reach that stage where I feel like, I'm not saying I will do that at some point, but if I reach the stage where I feel like, yeah, I'll take in customers' guitars and do that for whatever, I probably would at that stage. But and again, maybe I'm being hard on myself. I think maybe I probably could do a lot of the stuff on customers' guitars as well, but it's just not what I want to do at this stage either.
And that's all right as well, you know. Come here, you talked about being in bands years ago and playing a lot, right? Or playing on stage as well, right?
It wasn't a lot, but yeah, it did happen.
Sure. Like looking at your videos and like listening to you play, like doing like sound examples and things like that. You do have some chops, right? You can still play a bit for sure.
I'm probably better than I think I am, but nowhere near as good as I should be.
I mean, no one is ever as good as they should be, right?
Yeah.
You know, when you're not like a pro, right? Like when you're kind of like sitting around and you're playing your guitar. Yeah, I could practice a bit more myself, right? But I love to see you do the sound demos, right? Because I think we're definitely of a similar vintage, right, with the kinds of music that you're playing, right? On
Yeah,
those
for
demos.
sure. Yeah,
Like with the
yeah.
Killswitch Engage, Blink-182, Metallica, the Coheed and Cambria stuff. Like I was pretty impressed to see the Coheed and Cambria,
Yeah.
the Welcome Home riffs that you were doing on some of those.
If you're new to guitar, don't copy me and flail your fingers around. It's a bad habit to get into, but I can't help it. It works for me. I don't really care. I'll work on it eventually, but yeah, don't.
Yeah, one of my favorite riffs. Used to play it all the time. And to be honest with you, I think maybe all the sound demos I've done so far have all been songs that I was playing 10, 15 years ago.
Yeah.
So I think, and most of them, it's just muscle memory. Some maybe not even playing them proper. It's just how I played them back then, because you'll remember yourself back then. It was a lot harder to get tabs and things like that there, and
100%. Yeah.
you kind of you were working off videos, and it was almost better in a way, because you were learning a lot more than just playing a tab. But
Yeah.
most of the sound demos that I do at the moment are stuff that I've been playing for a long time. I'm probably playing wrong for a long time, but they sound good.
They do sound good, right? And like the thing is, there's some tough riffs in there, right?
Maybe I don't know.
Like I tried playing some of that Killswitch stuff quite recently, because I was like, I'll give this a go, see what the crack is. So I like what is it? The Rose of Sharon and all this kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Yeah.
And it's not necessarily the playing or the chords or whatever that are particularly difficult. It's or even the tempo. It's the rhythms that are quite tricky.
Yeah, maybe yeah. I don't know. Again, I don't know. It's just those were the kind of songs we were playing as a band. I mean, I think I left the band shortly after I started. I mean, my memory's probably wrong, but I think I left it shortly after I started working, because I just didn't have time to commit anymore. So I probably left the band at like maybe 15. I was working from when I was 14, so
sure.
Maybe a year after that. I can't quite remember, but yeah. So that's I'm 30. I'm turning 32 this year, so you're talking 17 years ago, maybe.
Yep.
Scary to say out loud.
Hey man, like I've got a few years on you. I'm late 30s at this stage. So like when I talk about like being in bands, 20 plus years ago now, or 20 at least, it's it's always shocking.
Yeah, and I'm not telling you my band name, because I told Mrs. Giant recently.
Okay.
And she was able to find a video posted on YouTube.
Oh man,
that I didn't know existed. So I'll give a huge bonus to anyone that finds that and sends it to me. But
oh wow,
yeah, I'm not giving the name. I actually love the name because I named the band, and I really like the name that I used. And to my knowledge, nobody's used it as a name since. But after I left, they changed it, and I was a wee bit upset. I was like, oh, I thought it was a good name.
but now you get to use it again, like in the future.
Yeah, that's it. Right? It's mine again. It's mine.
Yeah. And did you only do covers, or did you try your hand at writing?
Good question. I think we probably did.
Have you ever tried your hand at writing? I suppose.
Yeah, I have. But any of my writing that I've ever done, I probably did stuff in the band. I just can't remember. We definitely didn't play anything original on stage or anything, but we probably messed around, because we were constantly, as kids do, you were constantly going to practices together and playing in bedrooms, and we were lucky we had a couple of different practice spaces where we lived.
Nice.
In churches that were set up as recording studios as well. So
right.
We did a lot of recording, But I'm pretty sure anything we did back then was just covers, mostly, the kind of metalcore stuff that we're talking about, or Metallica
Yeah, yeah.
as well.
Everyone does Metallica.
But yeah, everyone does Metallica. So Fade to Black was our big one.
Ooh, tough one.
Yeah, I the lead guitarist in the band was a guy called Tony, and he was 10 times better than I ever was, and he carried me, he did all the solos and everything. So I think I did the intro one, and then he did all the hard ones after that.
Yeah. I mean, I'm also very fortunate to have been in bands where I've been, with much more talented people than myself. But I think that's not a bad thing necessarily, right? You learn.
No, I think it's great. You bounce off each other, and I think to progress as a musician, you need to be in a band of some sort.
For sure. Yeah.
I think that's the way to do it. But no, to answer your question, yeah, I have written my own things, but it's only ever on acoustic guitar, and nobody's ever heard them. So
fair enough.
So yeah,
it's a tough thing, right, to share that kind of stuff as well, right? Like, not to say that particularly on acoustic guitar or anything like that, because I think that writing, regardless of how you write or what instrument you write it on, sharing that something that you've put out there or that you've created is a tough thing to do.
Yeah,
and I think it takes a certain kind of person as well to want to perform it as well, right? And to want to have that limelight somewhat.
Yeah, I mean, I would like to, I fantasize about picking up a guitar at a get together and doing something, but I mean, if I really wanted to, I would have done it by now, and I haven't. So I have too many things going on.
I mean,
that's the last thing I would need.
You never lose the itch, though, I don't think, right?
No, I don't think so. I don't think so. Yeah.
Because, I don't think I'm ever gonna forget the adrenaline that comes with it. I was the singer in a metal band for a while, and I also I played guitar in an 80s covers band, and sang as well. But the adrenaline that you get and the buzz is there's nothing like it. There's nothing like it.
Yeah, it's hard to match, isn't it?
Yeah.
I've been sitting here the whole time. I have I hope you don't mind. I have a Guinness. I'm gonna crack open and sip on.
No problem.
I meant to do it before we started, but
you're grand. Don't worry about it.
Seems fitting.
Seems fitting
to drink Guinness. Yeah.
Why so?
Two somewhat Irishmen.
Oh yeah.
I say somewhat because I'm in the north, but
you're still on the island.
That's it. We'll not get political about it, but
for sure. Yeah. To come back to talking about music a little bit.
Yeah. Sorry.
No, you're grand. Clearly, you're into metal because you went to see Sleep Token recently.
Yeah, we did. Yeah.
How was the show?
Show was 9 out of 10. Right. The venue was terrible.
Really?
Yeah. It was in Birmingham.
Oh, the INEC, or the what's it called? It's the INEC. It's not the INEC.
No, it wasn't that one. It was Utilia, or it was a different arena. But I know the one you're talking about. The one you're talking about is beside the train station at the airport.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
No, it wasn't that one. It was the NEC. Is that NEC?
NEC, maybe. Yeah.
Something. Yeah. No, it was further in the city. It was Utilia or something, or UTILIA or something like that. But it was just. I mean, there were cheap tickets. We were at the back, in the stands.
Mm-hmm.
But just you couldn't really hear it that well, and the visuals were crap. It was so far away, and there was no screens. I think even if they had a couple of screens a bit closer, it might have been nice because there was so much smoke and lights. You couldn't see half the stage. And I mean, I really enjoyed it. I loved it. I'm a huge Sleep Token fan. I listened to their 3 albums on repeat when I was building the shed through these headphones.
Right.
I just went through a Sleep Token stage while I was building this, and so I knew the songs. But for Mrs. Giant, who isn't into that side of music, no, it was hard for her because, and as well, English isn't her first language. She's fluent. She's brilliant in English. Probably speaks it better than me, but it was hard for her to kind of understand the songs. And I understand a little bit because Bill Murray were the support act, and I don't really know their songs. I know a couple of the kind of main ones. But it was hard for me to even make out what they were singing, just because of
the sound was so bad.
The sound was so bad. You just had the stage speakers and nothing else, and it wasn't filling the room. It was filling the room, but it wasn't, coming through clearly. Yeah. So I was a little disappointed, if I'm honest with that, but I still do it again. I like Sleep Token. So
who else do you listen to? Because personally, I actually can't wrap my head around Sleep Token. Frankly, they don't quite do it for me.
Yeah.
I just don't.
Sorry.
No,
yeah, a lot of metalheads that it's the whole outrage of download and whatnot.
Yeah, I don't get them. Right? Maybe I'm too old, right? But same with Polyphia and stuff. I don't get Polyphia.
Yeah, I'm not a huge Polyphia fan, if I'm honest with you. I can respect the talent there.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
But it just doesn't do it for me.
No.
Maybe I just haven't listened to enough Sleep Token. Do you think that's a part of it, or could be a thing? Or is it, if you don't like one Sleep Token song, you're probably not going to like the rest of it?
No, because it's so different, and
Okay.
I don't know. It was a friend in work put me onto them. I'd heard about them for a while back, and I never really cared to give them a listen. And then a friend put me, maybe 2 years ago, took me onto them, and I kind of had a quick listen, and I was like, maybe not. But what I fell in love with was the drums, and
right.
I'm not a drummer. I've never been one to listen to a song for drums, but I fell in love with the drumming in Sleep Token, and then with that, I just listened more and more and more, and then just fell in love with everything. That's right. I think they maybe some sort of Stockholm syndrome, but they definitely captured me, and it was all from the drums.
Yeah, I mean. Yeah. It's an interesting one. I've never listened to songs for the idea that I've never listened to songs for drums before. Is an interesting one because, when I was in college, I started listening to a lot of like Portnoy, and Dream Theater and Tool and a lot of prog and Meshuggah even, and the drum quality that is there, you can't help really but develop an appreciation for that and the talent. Granted, it did help that I lived with the drummer, and he was actually the drummer in our band. He still is unreal as a drummer. Was one of the best drummers in Limerick at the time. The only drummer who was better than him was actually a lad who tried out for Cradle of Filth, and was offered the role, but his missus wouldn't move. But anyway, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, his missus wouldn't move, so he couldn't join Cradle of Filth. But
oh my goodness.
Yeah, it's the whole gamut, right? The whole spectrum of music, I suppose, right? That that you can appreciate.
Yeah.
Who else?
Sorry, so to answer that question, who else do I listen to? Yeah. I'm kind of stuck in that era we talked about. I really am. I still I still listen to a lot of my bands I did back then, but some of the more new ones, Bad Omens.
Okay.
Big into Bad Omens. Alexis on Fire is kind of it's like a staple in my house. It just I have to involve Alexis on Fire somewhere. You maybe heard I played pulmonary archery on this guitar in my last video. So there's one of the new ones, maybe Archers, if you've heard of them.
No, I haven't actually. No.
Yeah, they're quite good. I've started listening to them just maybe the last 2-3 months. There is I should have brought a list. Let me think. Caskets, I like Caskets. They're a more sort of new band, but I mean, if you got my Spotify for like the last 30 days, you will find like Atreyu in there. Of course, Alexis on Fire features. I was listening to them. I was listening to their Watch Out album just yesterday. But I also, on the side of that Alexis on Fire kind of thing, I also like, City in Color. Listen to City in Color for the acoustic side of things. And I've always been a huge Fight Star fan.
Really?
I love Charlie Simpson. Yeah.
Interesting one.
Yeah, I'm a huge, in my eyes, I'll not go as far as saying I would listen to Busted, but Charlie Simpson can't do any wrong,
Okay.
So, yeah.
Is it just because he was the coolest one out of Busted?
I just love his voice, I think. And I got hooked on Fight Star from quite a young age, and just never let it go. Fair
enough.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like it's tough to kind of like letting go of them is probably the wrong term. But it's tough to kind of like lose that part of yourself, like when it is like something that you've listened to from a young age. Like I'm pretty sure that I'll never tire of ABBA for the same reasons, unfortunately. You know what I mean? Things like that.
Yeah. I would be like that with Elvis.
Oh, nice.
I probably one of the first musicians I ever listened to, and it was on a cassette tape with 2 sides on it. I think my mom had burnt it for me, and sitting with my little Walkman, probably in the back of that old Volkswagen Caravelle, listening to Elvis. So, but yeah, Def Havana, if you know them, huge.
I have heard of them.
Yeah, huge Def Havana fan through all their stages. I think they slightly lost their way with their last album, in my opinion, but I still love them.
Lovely.
Yeah.
So there's some stuff. There's Giant Guitars picks, I suppose.
Yeah. Top of the list is Alexis on Fire. I'll never let them go.
Yeah.
No. Well, I'll never get sick of their old stuff. If I'm entirely honest, I didn't listen to their newest album. So.
Fair enough.
Yeah. Just I'll get around to it someday, but not yet.
I mean, all these bands that you're bringing up, and like again, like the idea of them like being like the stuff that you listened to as a teenager. Like there was a study done that like around 14 or 15, that is your musical taste from that point onwards for the rest of your life.
Yeah.
Right.
That's what it is.
Yeah.
There's of Mice and Men, Architects, all that.
Yeah.
All that jazz.
Yeah. In terms, coming back to, I suppose, talking about the channel then as well, talking about things that I really like about it, right?
Okay.
There's a few things that I really like about it, right? First thing is the attitude of it, right? The let's wing it, right?
Yeah.
I think that, like, for me, that's quite inspiring, right? Like, sure, just do it, just give it a go, right? Let's wing it, give it a go. See what happens, right? And you're the reason why I did like the small mods to my guitar, right? So I like replaced the pickup, the neck pickup with the P90, right? And
okay.
I replaced the tuners on my SG with the locking tuners, right? to basically like take this old guitar that I've done or that I've had for a long time and to like make it better, right? This Epiphone SG, back when Epiphone SGs weren't as good as they are these days, right? So those small mods, and like I did videos on those, and they're up on the channel, right? But you're the reason why I had the courage to do those, right? So
that's nice. That's nice to hear.
Yeah. Because what I always liked, or what I like about your videos, is that you always seem to find a way to fix things, and you document it in the video as well, right? So if something does go wrong, you have a way to fix it, and all you really lose is time, right?
Yeah, and it's not time that's lost either. You know, it's at the end of the day, it's a lesson learned, so it's valuable. It's valuable time. But don't get me wrong, I get frustrated. You know, if you were to ever speak to Mrs. Giant, she'll have heard 1,000 times me say, "That's it, I'm done, no more." It's not happening. She's seen the frustration. You know, and you don't see that a lot of the time. I don't intentionally hide it, but I have a process, and I think part of my process is getting the frustration out and then clearing my head and coming back and going, right, okay, let's move on. You know.
Yeah.
I have projects that I've yet to do that I'm still kind of reluctant to get stuck in because of mistakes that I made, or because of, I'll give you an example. There's a quite a well-known YouTuber. He sent me his 100K subscriber plaque, and he wants me to turn that into a guitar body for him. And we came up with an idea together. I made some photoshops. We talked about it, and I was all go. Did a test piece because I didn't want to start, because it involves cutting this thing up.
Yeah,
I didn't want to start cutting into it without testing it first, and my test piece went so horribly wrong that I haven't got back to that yet. And thankfully, he's such a legend that he's been so supportive. He's like, no, take your time. Don't worry about it. You know, I even offered to send his plaque back to him. Was like, look, I'm so sorry. I'll send this all back. You know, I'll try to find someone else who's willing to do this for you. And he was like, no, keep it. You'll do it at some point. So, yeah,
legend.
There are times like that where, you know, it doesn't always go right. But yeah, you are right. As long as you get back to it, you fix it. And
yeah, then it's all good. The other thing that I like, you know, it's something that I alluded to earlier, is that like people won't like this, but I don't care. I really like that attitude as well. It's a real independent thing, right? That like, and a real kind of doing things your way, like regardless of it's a real punk attitude, I suppose, as well, right? Of, you know, it doesn't matter, right? If people like this or not. And at the end of the day, I suppose you might get the odd rage click as well. And, you know, drives the algorithm, all that kind of stuff, right?
You do, you know, I think I say it. So I think I kind of taunt it sometimes as well. You know, I have a friend who watches the channel closely, and he's always giving me tips. And one of the things he's always saying to me is, you need to tell people to subscribe more. I hate doing it. And so I've started, just as to kind of poke fun at him, I started saying to people, you know, make sure if you don't like it, unsubscribe.
Yes,
click the dislike, because I just think, you know, I got to this stage. It wasn't instant. I think I kind of had to develop it, but I'm now at the stage where I don't want to focus on numbers. I don't even care about numbers anymore. I just want to care about the results. And if I'm happy making the videos and it's fun, then the results, I think, will come. You know, so
yeah,
we'll see.
I mean, I think that they are always fun. Like even the bit that you did of, was it the SG, where you pretended to drop the SG on the floor?
Yeah,
and like that definitely. I think that probably got a few people, you know.
Yeah, I think that I have a short as well with the SG, and it might be, if I have my channel in front of me right now, it might be my highest viewed short. No, it's not. It's not. It's my. Oh, it's not even close to my highest view short, but it's one of my higher view shorts anyway. It's 15 seconds, and I have the Gibson SG, and it's an authentic Gibson SG.
Mhm.
I swapped it with a friend
Yes.
who's a streamer, and you might have seen the short. I say, how do you tell if you've got a Gibson or a Gibson? And your Gibson will stay in tune, your Gibson won't.
Yeah.
And that triggered a lot of people, and the comments on that, I still get comments to this day. The comments on that are a lot of fun.
I love it.
Yeah, there was another one. I have a little red Squire Stratocaster. It's my first ever Stratocaster. It was actually my sister's, and I pinched it off her and never gave it back. Well,
is this the one
I
that
did a short.
It sounds better than a Fender.
Yeah. So I did a short on it, and I basically, I was kind of being sort of half sarcastic, and I was like, "This is my new favorite guitar," and all I had to do was change this. But the amount of most people, most sensible people understand it. But the amount of comments where people are so angry saying, my new favorite guitar, but all I had to do was make it a totally different guitar. And I'm like, that's the point.
That's
I'm
the
making.
joke. Yeah. Just reply with, what is it, the Simpsons gif of Rainier Wolfcastle?
Yeah,
that's the joke.
Yeah, but it's maybe like an Irish humor type thing as well, because I think we are kind of sarcastic and dry, and I have a very good parody video planned. I mean, I say very good. I think it's very good.
Okay.
I'm very excited to do it. I've been planning it for a long time now, and the entire video is going to be a piss take, but it's going to be extremely dry, and I'm going to be deadpan serious the whole time.
Nice.
I'm probably going to have a disclaimer at the start of it, but it's going to be along the lines of a tutorial on how to relic a guitar, but I'm not saying more than that.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
So,
yeah.
If you've ever seen any memes on any like guitar relicing, it's going to be like recreating a lot of the memes in real life.
I haven't actually, but I don't go looking for relicing stuff.
No, like I'll give you one. There's a very famous meme for relicing guitars, and it's like I think it says something like Fender custom shop at work, and it's a Stratocaster being towed behind a truck just been trailed along around. So
gotcha.
It's along that. But yeah.
Yeah, I don't get relicing myself. But
the swings and roundabouts for me, I like it sometimes, but I just think, go on to YouTube and type in how to relic a guitar and watch some of the videos, and it's just, people getting a hammer and screwdriver, and even some of the people that I hold at high regards, Ben Crow from Crimson Guitars. Some of the relicing work they're doing on guitars, I'm like, why are we doing this?
Yeah.
But at the same time, I actually do like a proper done Fender custom shop relic. I think it's a French guy on Instagram, and it's Relic Art Guitars, maybe in French. But his work, I think, is absolutely wonderful, and he strips the guitar right back, repaints it, does it all properly, and it looks like a genuine kind of like 50s guitar at the end of it. I like that, and I also love true natural relic guitars, something from the 50s that's developed lacquer cracks and things like that there. Yeah. So I say I don't like them, but I do like them at the same time. It's kind of,
I mean, I think that like a guitar that is truly relict, I suppose, right, that is worn, right, that has seen some shit, right, that is class, right. I don't really go in for the man-made or the artificial, I suppose, relicing.
And I get that. I totally get
that. Speaking of the shed, the build was unreal.
Thank you.
And that kind of comes back to the idea of like, winging it and being really independent about like doing stuff. The fact that you mentioned in the Q&A that like you had no idea how to kind of go about doing it until you kind of started doing it. and the
Mhm.
result is unbelievable. Like, you should be very, very proud of what you've done there.
Oh, thank you. I mean, genuinely, I am. I'm. It's one of the very few times in my life I've been proud of something that I've done, and you know, in terms of material objects, not including family and kids
of
and whatever.
course, yeah.
Yeah. So actually, I still, I look at it now, and it feels surreal. It's like, did I actually do that? Like, it feels like a dream. It doesn't, it's hard to explain, but yeah, you know, I'm I'm kind of at my happiest or most content when I'm building something, and it probably doesn't matter what it is. I focused on the guitars, but before guitars, it was cars. It's so this shed, being able to do that was a lot of fun, and I'd been drawing it for. I've been drawing it for years, if I'm honest with you. I've always wanted to build my own workshop, and we moved into this house in May 21, maybe May 22. Yeah, May 22. We moved into this house, so from then I'd been drawing it and designing it out. And there was a shed here.
Yes.
You saw it, probably the old green one.
Yeah.
So I had 10 different ideas on how I was going to do this, and then in the end, I sold that guitar, that Avalon I had, and I just committed. I used to work in a local builder's merchant.
Great.
And I went back to there. I hadn't seen them in 10 years. Went back to there. It was great. Nice reunion. And I got all the stuff ordered, delivered. And I will say, when I saw it all in my driveway and it was lying there in a big pile of timber, and I was, it was probably close to $3,000 worth of timber in my driveway. I kind of thought, oh shit, what have I done?
Now I have to actually do it. Yeah.
This is it. And the problem is, it wasn't. I don't want to say selfishly. I don't like to think of myself as selfish, but I committed myself to doing it by myself, and I have a lot of people around me that were willing to help me. My brother, my dad, my brother-in-law. But I was so committed. No, I want to do it by myself, and I didn't want to be a dick about it, but I was so adamant. No, it has to be me. I'm doing it all by myself. And yeah,
no, I get that. I'm the same. Like, when it comes to like big stuff that like I'm working on, I'm like, no, I have to be the one that does it. Because like, again, I don't want to be a dick about it, but I don't want it to be done wrong, and
no, well, I mean, I didn't have that problem. My dad could build this 10 times over, in his sleep. My dad's great, but
for sure, but no shade to like your family or my family in any capacity, but
yeah,
I have this weird thing that unless I have control of it, like it's not going to work out, right?
Yeah, well, yeah, in that same respect, I am a bit of a control freak when it comes to my own stuff. So yeah I get that. Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, it's unbelievable.
Oh, empty days and empty nights always leave me to find out. Waking up on the floor, still coughing up blood. Is it worth it? One more night won't hurt nearly as much as the pain in my side. 'Cause I could truly be whoever I was. This is my disguise. 'Cause all I know is I'm wasting my time. Yeah, all I know is I'm wasting my time. Oh, belief is getting harder to find. All I know is I'm wasting my time. I look forward to the day I can say, look what I've done with my life.
It's class.
Oh, well, thank you. I'm really enjoying it. It's not finished. If you could see behind right now, it's just a mess of. There's about 10 sheets of plywood piled up there, 2 big rolls of insulation, and I still have a lot to do. The roof above me needs all insulated, but it's getting there.
But yeah, like that stuff that, like, you've got the structure, right? That stuff can come, right?
Yeah, well, that's it. And the main next big thing is going to be electric, because I'm still running off a extension cable out here, and batteries,
Yeah.
So
To be,
electric will come.
in fairness, like it's a video that I'm going to send on to a mate of mine. He himself and his wife recently bought a house, and he's like, I need a space for myself where I can set up like my kit and
Hmm.
and like other bits and pieces, and like have my own space, because the house isn't big enough for it and that kind of thing. So I'm going to send him
Yeah.
on the video of the shed build, just be like, here's what you can do, rather than like buying one of those
Mhm.
like unit to sit at the end
Yeah.
units to sit at the end of your garden. You could have something that's class, or you can have that same thing
Yeah.
that everyone else has.
Well, that's it. I mean, the same size shed as this, built by a local company, and I'll not mention them, but
Mm.
you're talking 15 to 20,000 pounds.
Yeah.
It's just insane. And don't get me wrong, like I have nothing against people making a living and charging labor costs, and they're good at a
100%.
skit, 100%. But I'm never affording that. I drive a car that I bought for £350. I'm not spending 20 grand on a shed.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I'd spend 20 grand on a guitar if I had 20 grand, but not,
I
not a
mean,
shed.
That's the thing, right? It's priorities. It's priorities.
Yeah. So
You touched on some stuff in the Q&A video as well about the future plans, and we touched on it earlier on, talking about like your self-builds and stuff. But is the ambition to kind of like make this the day job?
Oh yeah. I mean, I would love to. Personally, I don't think I commit enough to it yet to make that a reality. I think, I'm quite busy. I work a kind of regular 9 to 5, Monday through Friday. Mrs. Giant, she works evening hours, kind of Tuesday, Wednesday through Sunday. So I have the kids a lot, and I maybe get 1-2 days if I'm lucky per week to kind of do this stuff. So it's quite hard.
Yeah, it's a lot to juggle.
It's a lot to juggle, and you want to spend time with your kids and your family,
100%,
and you want to do
absolutely.
things, and so it's hard to find the time. But yeah, this would be the ideal goal, that this is full time, and I think I've been thinking about it a lot. It would probably take first of all the channel to grow a bit, which I think will happen, and then secondly probably some sort of sponsorship, which I touched on in the video. I'm not 100% fond on, but if I want to do it full time, that might be something I have to compromise on. But
I think
we'll see what happens.
Yeah, I mean, the attitude that you have towards sponsorships is the right one. I think, like, you see, like, people like hawking stuff that's completely unrelated to what you want to watch and stuff like that, right?
Yeah.
It's like,
If
sponsored by Manscaped and shit, and it's like, I don't care about that,
If you see me doing a NordVPN or a Manscaped ad, there's something wrong.
Yeah.
I've probably lost my job, and I'm desperate.
I mean, no one would hold it against you in that regard, I presume.
Yeah, no. I honestly don't think, most of the subscribers, and I see all the regular people. I try to read every comment. I try to reply to every comment. It's not always possible, but I mean, I read them all. And I see the ones who comment regularly, and they are genuine people, and I don't think any of them would think any less if there was some sort of ad on there, but it's not personally the direction I want to go at the minute.
Yeah. And that's kind of why I wanted to ask about the Patreon in the last Q&A video as well.
Yeah.
Because, like, I know that, I think that we probably think about it in the same way of, like, what do I have to offer you, right? Like, would you really stump up cash to watch this, right? Even though I'm giving it away for free, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I have done it before, right? For people who I'm getting next to nothing off of, or nothing from at all, right? Just to kind of support the work that's being done.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I don't think that there's any shame in doing that either, right?
No, I don't think so either. I don't think there is any shame, but it's not only that. I don't want to exclude the people that maybe can't pay the Patreon.
Sure.
That's my main thing. I don't want to exclude people. I want it to be an open book for anyone. And you know, I don't want to start offering. You know, there's loads of channels that I watch that do it right. You know, they do it the right way.
Yeah.
But there's also ones that do it the wrong way, and you can tell that they're leaving bits out that you really want to see, but oh no, it's hidden behind Patreon or members. And I don't want it to develop into that, but also I don't want to exclude, because I have a lot of subscribers from, you know, I don't want to say poor countries. That's not the way but countries where, you know, £5 probably means a lot more than it does to maybe us, in terms of what you're going to spend it on. And I don't think it's worth it to spend it on me. And I would rather give it free for everyone. And I hope I can keep it that way. I might reassess at some point, especially if I want to do this full time and I want to be serious about it. But at the moment, no, I'm okay. I want to keep it free for everyone. Yeah. And that's why I want to do the free giveaways as well.
Yeah. That's brilliant. Like, it's, as you say, there's a right way to do it and a wrong way to do it. And I think that you've hit the nail on the head as to the right way to do it. But I'm glad to hear that you've got the ambition that you want to make this the day job. Because I think you're definitely talented enough to do it.
Yeah, you know, if I went back to the raffles, I could very easily make this the day job. But the raffles have their own problem as well. You know, it's you know, it's not classed as gambling in terms of, you know, UK law, but it's gambling. And after a while, I started to hate it. You know, I saw people. There was one guy in particular, and if he watches this, he'll know who he is. He still comments on every one of my videos. He paid a ticket for every single raffle from start to beginning. He never missed a single raffle, right. And he never won anything. And then there was other people that won 3 guitars. You know.
Wow. So
it's hard to watch that kind of thing. And that was a big part of the reason that I pulled the plug on the raffles in the end as well. It was because people still ask me today, why'd you stop the raffles? And it's just, I started to hate the gambling side of it, and it was just I would rather people got it for free, and if I can make a little bit of money from YouTube and then ship a guitar, that's cool. You know?
Yeah. Nice.
Yeah, the last one I shipped, I think, cost me $340 in shipping fees.
Oh, this is the one that went to Portugal, because you tried to get it to Brazil, but it wouldn't go to Brazil.
Yeah, I'm so happy he went on holiday to Portugal and he was up for that. Yeah. It went to. I was going to make a video on it, and then I didn't in the end. It was a comparison company called Parcel Hero. And I use them for everything. I've used them for years, and the amount of money I've spent with them is crazy. And I booked the parcel for Brazil, sent it to Brazil, didn't hear anything for about 3 months, and then tried to chase it up, and they said, oh, it's been refused by Brazilian customs. And they wouldn't give me a reason, and then they finally said, oh, you can't ship a guitar to Brazil. I was like, that doesn't seem right.
I don't think that's right.
That so nobody in Brazil can receive a guitar, you know. So then they changed the story, and they changed this. They ended up, I have it all in email, and they ended up changing the story 3 times, and then sent the guitar back to me, and then charged me £150 for the return leg. So it was a whole disaster. And then I was going to make a video about it, and in the video, I was going to put the guitar on eBay, 99p auction, and just auction it off on eBay, and then whatever money I got from that, I was going to send it to the winner. But he messaged me right before I'd actually recorded the video. I hadn't edited it, but I'd recorded it, and he messaged me right before and says, "Look, I'm going to be in Portugal for a week. What do you think? Do you think you can send it there?" And it was £40 to send to Portugal, so it was a no-brainer.
Nice.
You know.
Yeah.
So I'm more happy he got the guitar in the end. You know.
He just had more luggage going home then, you know.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I don't know what he did, to be honest with you, but he got it home.
But he got it
So
home. Yeah, that's
yeah,
class.
my brother did it once actually. My brother used to go to Nashville every year. My brother actually used to perform and sing, and
Hmm.
his ex-girlfriend, she was a performer and singer, and they used to go to Nashville every year. And he bought an old, I want to say, '60s Gibson acoustic. Can't remember what it was, but it had two pick guards, funny shit pick guards
Oh
either side of
yeah,
the
the
sound hole.
jumbo. Is it like
It
the
was a smaller one, but it had like on the top it had a small pick guard, and then the bottom had this really long sort of squarish pick guard. But
right?
I could probably find it if I search for it. But a 1960s, really fat neck on it, beautiful guitar. But he bought that in Nashville, walked onto the plane as hand luggage, and just put it up in the overhead locker. Said nothing, sat down, and nobody questioned it.
To be fair, I did something
So
not dissimilar when I was 16. I went to Canada to see family and wanted to get out there and take a look at the guitar shops. So I bought an Ovation TK 57. I'd
okay,
never seen anything like it. In
those like
any,
the oval backs on it, like
it's a shallow bowl back, yeah.
yeah,
But I'd never seen like it's a plastic guitar with a wood top, right?
mm-hmm.
Um,
Yeah,
doesn't sound amazing acoustic, but plug it in and it sounds great. But the headstock on it is really cool as well. So I got this guitar. I paid like $300 or something like that for this guitar, and I was like, "Here, how much is that hard case?" So I bought a hard case off him, and there as well. Stuck it in the hard case. It was a second-hand hard case as well, and I stuck a sticker on the guitar and a sticker on the outside of the hard case, and brought it back. And anything to declare? No, just this old guitar that I brought out with me. Don't you worry about it.
great.
That's
Yeah,
how it goes.
love it.
Yeah,
Yeah, Ryanair wouldn't let you with it now.
for sure. Yeah. um, but I've gone through everything that I wanted to talk to you about or to ask you about,
Cool.
except for one thing.
Right?
Could you get me Big Murph's contact details so I can chat to him? um,
I'll try get him in here if you want.
nah, don't worry about it. Don't worry about it.
He's probably sleeping. Yeah, he was sick there for about a week and a half. He turned 9 on Friday,
Wow.
so he did, and he was sick he didn't eat for over a week,
Oh,
and he was bleeding where you shouldn't bleed, and I kind of thought that was maybe it, but he's come back around and he's back to himself. So yeah,
good.
fingers crossed. But he's getting old. I mean, I rescued him at 6 months. I think about six, maybe. I think I got him in August, so probably 7, 8 months. He's January birthday, so yeah, probably about 8 months old. I got him, and he was in a bad state, really skinny, hadn't been fed properly, and yeah, he's been my best mate ever since.
Yeah, he seems like a good dog, but they're all good
Yeah, no,
dogs.
yeah, they are. They're all the best dogs, but he is the best dog.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. My little lad is probably in his bed outside my office.
Oh, what is he?
He's small, right? So he's not a big Murph,
Yeah.
but he's like a cross between like a Pom, a Jack Russell, and a Corgi.
Okay.
Again, a rescue. So we got him like
Yeah.
4 years ago. So I think he was like 8 at the time. So he must be like 12 now.
Okay.
So he's
Yeah.
getting up there as well. But like he likes what he likes, and he likes who he likes. Right? He's got a lot of attitude about him, and I just love him. He's brilliant.
Yeah. Brilliant.
Um,
Brilliant. Yeah.
He's good crack.
Yeah. I know. I just got lucky. Actually, if you've time for a story, I'll tell you a funny story with Murphy.
Go for it.
It's maybe I don't know if it's funny or not, but I mean I find it funny. Certain people probably don't find it funny, but I got Murphy. I was living with my ex-girlfriend, and we both decided to get Murphy together, and we went to see him. We took him for walks. We took him for a weekend to stay with us, and then decided, this is the dog for us.
Mhm.
Of course, he was a rescue, so didn't cost me anything. And a Great Dane is quite a big commitment. We had him for a year, and she then, there's bits and pieces in between, but she gave me the ultimatum. It was Murphy or her. And now, put in context, we've been together maybe, I can't remember, maybe 5-6 years. We had a house together.
Right.
And I clipped Murphy on his lead, walked him out of the house, took my guitars, put them in my car, walked him out of the house, and never went back.
Wow. Some people will find this story funny. Others,
yeah. I mean, best decision I ever made. At the end of it, I now have two of, again, they're all the best kids when you have them, but two of the best kids in the world that only exist because that happened.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, it's to me, it's good.
It's mad how life, those decisions, lead you to where you're going to be or need to be.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's crazy.
Anyway, that's pretty philosophical to wrap up. But is there stuff that you want to plug before we wrap up?
I don't think so. Giant Guitars. If you want to subscribe on YouTube, that would be nice. You can follow me on Instagram as well. I don't really post there anymore. Kind of fell out with that. I'm probably just going forward with YouTube, maybe a bit on Twitter, not sure. But if you want to check out my brother as well, he's on Instagram, Picked, P-I-C-T, Picked Guitars. If you're looking at an acoustic guitar, he'll build you anything you want. And you'll see him in some videos coming very soon as well. We're going to do a build-off challenge where it's kind of pro versus amateur, and we're going to build a guitar. So that's about it.
That's class. I'm looking forward to that already. Thank you very much for your time. I really appreciate it.
No, thank you for inviting me. I appreciate it.